Good afternoon, children. This is my sixth and last video on the chapter Absorption by Roots, the processes involved. In my previous video, I discussed about guttation or exudation. Then after that, there were 4 experiments. The first was to show that roots absorb water. This I had discussed with you. Then second was to show that water is conducted upwards through the xylem using the eosin dye. Then third experiment was conduction of water through xylem, and the fourth and the last experiment was to show that food from the leaves is conducted downwards through the phloem in the stem. In this I told you the very important term that was girdling or the ringing, that is removing the outer bark of the phloem, right, from a limited area and conducting the experiment. So this process of removal of this outer bark of the stem is called as girdling or ringing. So today we are going to start with our last topic with this lesson, and with that we'll complete this chapter. The topic is forces contributing to ascent of sap, that is upward movement of sap. The first is, what is sap? Sap is a mixture of water and minerals, right? And this is contained in the vacuoles of the plant cell that is bounded by the tonoplast. Ascent of sap means, ascending order means rising. So from lesser height to upper level, this is the rise of sap, and that is through the tissue of xylem. So in this there are basically 4 forces. Just in other words, imagine this is a big tree. So what exactly is the reason behind a column of water to rise upwards without any installed pump or some device which can pull up water to a higher level, right? Imagine, children, if there's a multi-storied building, then water doesn't rise easily on its own to the 2nd, 3rd or 4th storied. But imagine trees which do not have any inbuilt device. How is it possible? There must be some reason and force that is bringing the same, this rise without any other mechanic or other equipment. So this is what is your topic. We have 4 reasons to discuss this. That is 4 factors which are the main pillars of contribution to ascent of sap or movement upwards. The first is root pressure. Root pressure, this is built up in the roots. See, continuously we know that the roots are absorbing water, right, from the soil. So this absorption is continuously building up a sufficient force which is enough to push the sap in the xylem vessels up to a certain height. If it is a small plant, like a herbaceous plant like this, then this root pressure can be sufficient to push it up till a good height or maybe up till the top. But the plant should be a small one. But in a big tree like this, do you think that the root pressure alone is responsible for pushing the column of water upwards? No, this is not possible alone for root pressure to bring it out. Once again, root pressure is a pressure developed in the roots by the continuous absorption. This pressure will be enough to send the water upwards if it is a small herbaceous plant. But if we consider about a big tree, then this root pressure, which I have numbered as 1, is not alone to push the water till the top. Yes, it can up to a certain level only. So that means there must be some other forces responsible. So what is the second factor responsible? We call it as capillarity, or the narrow diameter, which we'll study in this diagram. We have 3 setups, 3 small troughs or vessels, A, B and C. What you can see as a difference, children, look at this diameter of the glass tube, open at both the ends, right? This is the most narrow of all diameters in the 3 experiments. So this is slightly wider, and this is the widest or the most wide diameter of this lumen. Now what we see, we leave it in dipping into water and leave it for some time. We'll see that the water column rises up on its own due to the property of capillarity. Capillarity is a property in which the narrower the vessel, greater the rise of water column. So here it will be an average rise because the diameter is wide, and here it will be the least rise of water because the most widest of all diameters in the three. So here we say, narrower the diameter of a tube, greater is the height of water rising in it, and this exerts a force called capillary force. So once again, narrower the diameter, greater the rise, and greater the rise means greater the pressure that is developed, or the force, we call it as capillary force. So here there will be a maximum capillary force than compared to C. Then capillarity of xylem vessels causes water from a lower level to rise to fill up the vacuum created by the loss of water due to transpiration from leaves. See what happens when transpiration is continuing from the leaves, right? There's a vacuum generated, and the same vacuum has to be filled up by the water column. Remember children, every molecule of water lost has to be occupied or replaced by another molecule of water. So one molecule leaves and the other is entering. So this continuous push has to be maintained, and the second force responsible in the direction is capillarity. I hope you've understood, right? So two things were easy, root pressure and capillarity. Third one also, see, it's even more easier. Transpirational pull. See, remember, there is a difference when we say push and a pull. Now you have many times opened the glass doors into malls, shops, etc. It's always written push or pull, and you know what I am trying to hint. So same thing children, when we are talking of the root pressure, it was a push to the water column upwards. But here we are talking of transpirational pull. That is, more and more water when it is lost from the leaves, there is a suction pressure created on the water column that is in the xylem. So what happens here? As water is lost from the leaves by transpiration, more water molecules are pulled up due to tendency of water molecules to remain joined. Remember children, water molecules, suppose these are three molecules of water, they have a sense of attraction towards each other. That means a attraction towards the like molecules, water attracting water only. So this sense of tendency to remain joined with the similar molecules is called cohesion, right? So with this property, what happens? Water molecules, they remain joined in the water column, and thus it produces a continuous column of water through the stem. So two things it's hinting. Number one, more the water that is lost through the transpiration, right? The pull that is created, more and more will be the pull upwards. The water column will be pulled upwards, and top of it, there will be a tendency of water molecules to stay together because of force of mutual cohesion amongst each other. And the last force is adhesion. If cohesion is the force of attraction between similar molecules, right? Just now you saw it's the attraction between water molecules. Then adhesion is the force of attraction between dissimilar or unlike molecules. Let us read it first. Adhesion causes the water to stick to the surface of cells, thus drawing more water molecules from below when the leaf cells lose water during transpiration. This pulling force or suction force provided by the leaves is especially important in tall trees such as pines, which do not have enough root pressure. So adhesion, this is a type of attractive force, you can say, which is between the water molecules and the leaf cells, right? Or the surface of the leaf, you can say. So this is another factor which is responsible to create this suction pressure or the pulling force for the water column upwards, right? So this is all about the upward pull. Once again, let us finish with this quick revision. Forces contributing to the ascent of sap or the upward movement of sap. First was root pressure. Second, I told you, is capillarity. Third is the transpirational pull. And fourth is adhesion. The fourth is adhesion. In your textbook, children, this is given at page number 47, forces contributing to the ascent of sap. And it is ending up at this page 48. It's written under 4 headings. And this is the last topic of your lesson. There's another single statement, double line of the statements given. Downward movement of sap. Just now we talked only about the upward movement and we talked of 4 forces. We have understood this. But what is the concept behind downward movement of sap? That is, this is relatively simple. The food manufactured in the leaves is dissolved in water and flows down mainly on account of force of gravity. So movement downwards is easy because now which tissue is transporting the manufactured food children? This is phloem. So the phloem tissue is conducting food dissolved in water, and the reason is simple gravity. Right? So this is not an extensive elaborate topic to study which forces and all. The only force is gravity, and the tissue responsible for the downward movement of sap is phloem, and this contains food plus water. So this completes your complete lesson on absorption by roots, the processes involved, at page number 49. So kindly start doing the textbook questions, children. You have simple questions in the beginning, multiple choice ones, and try to solve every question like match the following or name the following from the textbook. If you have any queries, you can certainly ask children any number of times. And one suggestion from my side is, though I'll be sending you, yes, some practice questions from a different textbook or a revision series, but pay heed to the diagrammatic questions, children. Like questions like these. You can certainly frame up in your mind that one diagrammatic question is a must from this chapter. It will be there certainly 100% either from a setup like this or on plasmolysis or a question like this. And for this you need to have a very good grip over the topics that you have studied, that what is a particular phenomenon that is being inquired, and related questions. So whether a diagram, so I'll just insist children, kindly try to do every question, and any query you can ask it. Also, I'll be posting some questions today only, some diagrammatic questions. You will please do it in your classwork copies which you are writing the notes in. Complete your works, children, because tomorrow onwards I'll be starting with the last chapter of your first term, and that is the circulatory system. With that, we'll stop here. Thank you.